Everything's about telling a story. That's what we, as storytellers, love to do.
Creative is a process, and not everybody has the same process.
We built this for creators and creatives.
So at ImageWorks, over the last 31 years, we've really taken a lot of those impossible requests, right? It's what we, as storytellers, love to do.
Our development team innovated and built tool sets from the ground up. Using a new spider crowd system, we were able to build a considerable amount of additional spider characters with varying colors, logos, and body dimension. This enabled us to create an almost limitless army of spider people.
We're trying to figure out how to handle his spidery actionness. The ideas of him being kind of like a Xerox zine cutout were already there, and the challenge was, how do we incorporate that? How do we make that fit with everything else? Because obviously it's a very complicated design, and if we do it wrong, he might end up stealing the show in every scene that he's in.
Each artist has their own workflow within an application. How do we embrace the chaos and create efficiencies? The choice that we made for Flixi was to create these importers-exporters. But we still wanted to have a way to allow artists to work in a 3D environment. So you move the game controller around and you take a photo kind of thing. It renders out of frame, sends it to Flixi. From Flixi, you can open it in your application of choice. The things that we look for is how do we improve creativity.
I have to admit, what excited me the most is I knew the least about this. So the idea of shooting in a virtual environment, it felt very foreign, but it was also really exciting. The first time you took me down to look at that virtual city, I couldn't quite believe how exciting and thrilling it was to be on a virtual tech scout.
Understanding what goes into telling a story, the happy accidents, the challenges that you have sometimes in trying to convey a message to a team of people.
My first game I worked on, you look back at that now and you look at the pixels on that game and all you see is giant blocks moving around.
We accidentally walked into a building, then all saw outside from inside, and Jason's like, this is such a cool shot.
It kind of expanded my ability to kind of see right in front of me what I could get.
The optical tracking technology which makes all of this possible is known as SkeleTrack. And combined with our powerful visualization tool known as Hawk Vision, it brings the world of sports into the virtual world. But how does that work?
So the applications that we develop on top of these virtual simulations are built for live broadcast. And going fully virtual allows us to create impossible camera angles like this to see how the puck is going just between the arm and the leg of the goalkeeper. And so creating the perfect impossible camera angle together with things like the slow motion really gives us new ways of visualizing compared to traditional broadcast.
So I want to talk about the virtual world on top of CG creation content using tracking data. We have built virtual Etihad Stadium. This is the home stadium for Manchester City, for users to come together with their friends, talking with each other, sharing their passions. Hopefully they are making the new friends in the virtual world.
I love to make things like this in an immersive space where the artist can feel and act. We were able to previs so precisely. I saw the image and I felt, wow, I'm in there.
Obviously, optimization is a big part of it, where we use Unreal Engine, and one of the big deals we have is we have so much resolution on our wall, you can't compare it to the PC you're working on.
That's actually why we are here at Sony Innovation Studios. Is we want to build and create technology that enables Anastasia and her team to create and do whatever they want. What crazy ideas can you come up with next?
Our Gran challenge was to recreate the experience that top drivers have when racing each other. The first thing you have to do to be able to race against the top drivers is be as fast as them. The tool that we used to accomplish this was called reinforcement learning. The idea is there's an agent embedded in the world, the agent takes actions, the world changes, but that wasn't really enough. For example, if you can use a slipstream to get some extra speed and then pass the car in front of you. So we have to do it in a way that trains the agent to be respectful. And there's something about what GT Sophie's doing that allows it to come out of those corners faster and maintain more speed and therefore beat the best drivers in time trial situations.
From the beginning, we've been really creatively inspired. Once we found Jan's story and there was a real story we could tell, that's really the key that unlocked everything, because it just made everything feel authentic.
I used the Sony Venice 2, the Rialto. I knew from the get-go this is the one that I wanted to use. One thing that was extremely important to Neil was that the audience always knows what's going on the track. Finally got this genius idea, well, why don't we use the same car that they have? This way you could keep up with them barely, because he had so many cameras on it.
For us, we really wanted to have the actors out there because they're feeling the G-forces. It looks real. Authenticity was what we were trying to capture. The game itself is built on realism. We've seen a lot of effects-heavy driving stuff and racing. Doing it in a realistic fashion would help us kind of take the movie to a new level and make it really feel fresh and different than anything else out there.
PlayStation VR2 support in Gran Turismo 7. High FPS and high refresh rates are required. This is achieved by optimizing the user interface. PSVR 2 has an HDR 4K panel. It also has a 6DO motion tracking, and we can use gaze tracking features.
Today, I'm here to talk to you about screen space shadows. Days Gone on the PS4 was the first game to use this technique, and it used it primarily or only for the sun shadows. Later titles used it for point and spotlights. And the interesting thing you can see here is actually there's a 1 pixel edge around some of these trees, and this is simply because a pixel doesn't shadow itself, but it shadows the next one. So that is the screen space effect.
Personalization and customization are a big thing. So when we were working on machine learning R&D, we were thinking about how that can help with personalization. Masks, like you see on this monkey crew here, seem like a good target to do exploration. And so we looked into this idea of using mesh-based constraints so that this actually abides by the avatars we're using.
How can we improve these results and end up applying them to games? So the first one is this idea of rendering the normals. So what happens is these normal renders end up encoding information about the shape just through the render itself. So when you optimize using these, what you'll end up with is something that you get smoother, cleaner shapes as you're doing these generations.
Cool, guys. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.